Because the one thing about NLP is all the new models that replace the old ones are easier and quicker. Especially in business, because people in business are a lot smarter than people in psychology.
Okay.
Let's face it, that's what I try to say, that the art and the science of what we're doing has to evolve and keep up with what's around us. And that's what we try to instill in people, beliefs where the challenge becomes the best thing. You drool at those opportunities.
Coffee with Hing.
Halo para sahabat sekalian, salam berjumpa kembali dengan saya Hingdranata Nikolay dalam Coffee With Hing edisi khusus NLP. Saya mau menyapa para sahabat yang senantiasa tune in dalam Coffee With Hing, welcome back. Dan yang baru join, yang baru subscribe, yang baru follow, welcome. Nah, dimanapun Anda menyaksikan video ini, di platform manapun, entah di YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, ataupun platform lain. Nah, hari ini secara khusus saya ingin menampilkan sebuah video interview saya dengan sang maestro, sang Maha Guru besar kita, sang pencipta NLP sendiri, Dr.Richard Bandler. Nah, video ini adalah interview saya yang kedua bersama beliau di Maret 2016 saat saya berada di Charisma Enhancement, ya, trainers training untuk NLP di Orlando, USA. Ya, saya setiap tahun selalu kembali ke beliau untuk kembali mendalami, memperluas, menajamkan, upgrade, update selalu skill-skill NLP. Ya, jadi bersama para master trainer dari seluruh dunia dan juga bersama para pembelajar yang ingin menjadi public speaker, trainer, dan juga bahkan trainer berlisensi resmi NLP. Nah, setiap tahun Anda juga welcome kalau Anda ingin join bersama tim NLP Indonesia untuk sungkem sama beliau, belajar langsung dengan beliau. Nah, dalam interview spesial ini, ada dua bagian. Bagian pertama yang ingin saya tampilkan yang saat ini Anda akan saksikan nanti, beliau bercerita bagaimana NLP terupdate selama kurang lebih ya sudah 4 dekade NLP, bagaimana NLP telah berevolusi dan berevolusi juga. Dan terutama beliau juga memberikan nasihat-nasihat untuk para pebisnis dan juga tips-tips bagaimana untuk menjadi orang yang lebih kreatif. Ya, nah seperti apa nasihat-nasihat beliau, seperti apa ulasan interview beliau, kita saksikan dalam video berikut ini. Dan jangan surprise kalau yang akan Anda lihat di video nanti saya dengan postur yang berbeda, kita saksikan sama-sama. Enjoy.
Hi, Richard.
Hi, how are you doing?
Great. It has been more than 3 decades of neuro-linguistic programming.
4 and a half.
4.5.
4.5.
How is NLP evolving since then, since the first day you created NLP?
Quickly.
Okay.
We develop all the time, at least I do. I don't know what everybody else does, but I'm always looking for new ways to do new things. And then sometimes we cycle back. This time we cycled back, so we're focusing on education for a while. Mm-hmm. But I put out a book almost every other year. I think I have 29 books out now in total. And I've got 3 underway right now. I have a book I'm working on called Thinking on Purpose. And I have a book on education with Kate Benson. And something else which is going to be a surprise.
Okay. Now, if you see like different kinds of NLP institutes out there, and different types of NLP trainers out there, what's your view on, what's your advice for people who pursuing NLP training?
Well, I think it's a good idea to number one, go to people who are licensed trainers, because it means they have quality and recent education. There are some people that are NLP trainers but haven't come up with the field. And there are people stuck at various levels of my development, and you don't want to be one of them. You want to stay as current with the field as you can, because the one thing about NLP is all the new models that replace the old ones are easier and quicker. Mm-hmm. And that's what we place a high value on. We want people to learn things as fast as possible. And we want it to be as easy as possible. What I was doing in the 1970s is a lot more complicated and a lot less effective than what I'm doing today. Mm-hmm. And so, if you're in Indonesia, you want to go with somebody who has been trained in the past couple of years, not somebody that was trained 30 years ago, because Like NLP is a young field and it's evolving very quickly, and you want to stay state of the art. I mean, you wouldn't want to go out and buy a VCR from 30 years ago to record things on. You wouldn't want a camera, and you certainly wouldn't want a telephone from 4 decades ago. You wouldn't even be able to take it out of the house. I saw a movie the other day, and there was a guy with a mobile phone the size of a shoebox. Okay. All of the things. The thing about technology is it's supposed to evolve at a geometric rate. Okay. And so to me, that's what I try to say, that the art and the science of what we're doing has to evolve and keep up with what's around us. How you change the software in your mind has to be as up-to-date as the way you change the software in your computers. We have not changed the way we educate people. We do not change the way we change people. Most of the things that are being done out there that are called psychotherapy or education, self-help, all of these things were developed decades ago, and we haven't updated the software in our minds and the technology we use to educate and change people. And that's what NLP does. We study whatever's successful and we model it and we share it with everybody else. That's what the field is for. That's what we do.
And especially for the business side of things.
Especially in business, because people in business are a lot smarter than people in psychology. Okay. Let's face it. They pay attention to the bottom line, and anything you can do quicker, faster, and smoother and get better results is going to increase your profit margin. If it takes you 2 hours to sell a car as opposed to 15 minutes, that means you're going to sell a lot more cars. That's all there is to it. And the technology of persuasion, the technology of employee training, all of these things, we have to learn to do it. We have to get our employees to be more self-motivated, so we don't have to whip them all the time. Sure. Somebody said to me just recently that, that the most efficient employee is the one that's only been there for the first 2 weeks, because after that, their efficiency goes down. It should be just the opposite. The longer they're there, the more they should get done, not the less. And the same thing is true about selling and everything else. You should be able to sell twice as much in half the time. We concentrate on mental efficiency, but detecting information and being able to respond to that information quickly. Sure. And, when it comes to the bottom line, NLP is going to get you there and make it a bigger bottom line. And there is cases where more is better. Oh, yes. And your pocket is one of them.
So what would you advise for the leaders of the business out there?
Well, leaders in business have to realize that the kind of education education is an investment. And when you provide training, you should be able to see the results in the employees. And it's that simple. If you're not seeing a drastic result in your employees, then they're not being trained to do things faster and more efficiently. And their level of enthusiasm should go up. When they get trained, they shouldn't be dreading going to a training. They should be looking forward to it. Right. And, you can always tell when people are learning because they're enjoying it more and they're using it more. And therefore, they're not whining as much. I call it the whining factor. When your employees are complaining, well, this guy's too hard to sell to, I can't hire this person, I can't get this employee motivated. They're not looking at those people and going, look, if I can get this guy, I can get anybody. And that's what we try to instill in people, beliefs where the challenge becomes the best thing. You drool at those opportunities to use these tools and find out how they work. And when you run out of choices, then you provide people more training so they have more choices. That's how you make business efficient. Otherwise, you end up top-heavy with employees. You get 20 people to do what one person could do. And that's always a problem, especially nowadays.
Talking about problem solving and decision making, how would you advise applying NLP for problem solving and decision making?
Well, if you make good decisions, you solve problems. If you make bad decisions, you create them. It's a pretty easy formula. If your problems aren't being solved, then you have to change the way in which the decision has been made, or you just make more problems. A good machine produces good results. I mean, I'm fond of saying that, to me, you can have 1,000 scientists doing research, but if they don't make a toaster that makes toast, they're not doing the right thing. That, whether it's technical people or it's, salespeople or management people, they need to be able to learn to get the maximum result from the minimum effort.
Right.
And
Okay.
that's all we study. We don't study anything else. We don't study why things should work. We only study what works. And we leave the whys to psychology people. They can figure out why. We only want to know what works. We want to know how to make the toast, and once it's a toast, then we can call it a toaster. Otherwise, you can't call it a toaster.
Some of the leaders out there, it's not to make a decision. Sometimes they have doubts, they have dilemmas. Or how would you advise them?
Well, the thing is if you're a leader, you can't just think about now. You have to think about where you want to go and what connects to now. And you have to have a clear, focused set of movies that will take you along the way.
Right.
And if it isn't working out, you have to have some other alternatives along the way.
Sure.
But if you can't, in your mind, project into the future success and then move backwards,
Okay.
then what happens is all you're doing is plugging holes. There's a leak here, so we solve this problem, but then it pokes up over here and it pokes up over there. You have to go to that imaginary universe
Okay.
where you're succeeding in ways that others aren't, and then back up to be able to make the right decisions so that you don't get blindsided by the problems that exist now. Instead, you go to a universe in which those problems don't exist.
Okay. And relate
Sometimes
to,
it's refreshing to have new problems
Oh, yes, it
and
is.
forget the old ones.
Now, looking at decision making and problem solving, how do you see creativity?
Well, creativity is your ability to work backwards, because when you have a problem, you have to pretend as if it's been solved. You take
Okay.
a guy like Nikola Tesla, who solved a lot of problems
Yep.
in the world. He invented more stuff than anybody, had more patents than anybody.
Right.
What he would do is he would literally imagine that it was in the future and that the problem had already been solved, and that everything was working perfectly. He literally took apart machines that hadn't been built and measured what they were on the inside, and then came back into the present and would draw these things down.
That's interesting.
And
Yeah.
he made sure the tools in his mind were not unrealistic, too. He made sure the tools in his mind were exactly like the ones on the outside.
All right.
You can't just imagine that your employees behave better. You got to take these employees and go into the future and see whether you get better employees or whether these employees have learned X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Because when you go back, it tells you what to do to get to the reality you want to live in. If you want your business to grow really big, then you're going to have to go out there and see what you would be doing and what kind of advertising you would have and who you had merged with and all of these things, and then inch your way backwards, and then you have a plan.
Right.
That's, the business plan comes out of the imagination plan. And if
Okay.
you can't imagine being inside, you can't just see it as if it's removed. You have to go in it and live through a whole day of it.
Okay.
In your imagination, so that all the little details get filled in. Then you can back up and tell people specifically what they need to do. They may not understand why, but your job when you lead a company is to get the big picture. And it's not the picture that's going on here. It's the picture you're targeting.
Right.
Remember,
Okay.
when you shoot a gun, you don't go fire, ready, aim. That's the
Okay.
wrong way.
Yes, it is.
You got to aim, you got to get ready, you got to prepare, and then you fire the gun, and the bullet will go where you want to. The same is true with the future of a company. You got to have the big target, then you got to go back and find all the steps so that when you make all the little decisions along the way, they don't contradict each other. They go in the right direction.
And relate to that, how do you think that leaders should best train their employees to be more creative?
Well, if they're real leaders, they get somebody else to do it. To start with.
Nah, para sahabat sekalian, demikian interview bagian yang pertama. Menarik sekali. Nah, saya selalu ingin selalu bisa mengupdate dan mengupgrade skill saya setiap tahun bersama beliau, Dr. Richard Bandler, dan juga tim master trainer dari seluruh dunia, John Laval, Presiden Society of NLP, Katin Laval, dan semua maestro-maestro NLP dari seluruh dunia yang selalu berkumpul setiap tahun di Orlando, USA. Nah, saya tahu para alumni-alumni praktisi Indonesia tentu saja ingin sekali-sekali kali berangkat ke Orlando untuk kesungkem ke beliau, dan saat ini saya sendiri sudah mengantarkan kurang lebih 20 orang Indonesia lulusan NLP Indonesia untuk belajar langsung dari beliau, untuk berinteraksi langsung dengan para jawara-jawara NLP dari seluruh dunia, untuk mengupdate sehingga NLP skill kita adalah yang terkini, yang terupdate, ya, yang lebih efisien, lebih efektif, lebih menyenangkan, lebih cepat, ya. Dan saya selalu juga menyarankan para alumni praktisi maupun master praktisi dari NLP Indonesia untuk selalu kembali ke kelas dan belajar lagi dan belajar lagi dan belajar lagi. Dan kalau Anda perhatikan dalam interview, ada beberapa penjelasan khas NLP, bagaimana Dr. Richard Bandler menjelaskan kreativitas secara timeline misalnya. Ya, kita bergerak ke masa depan, melihat kreasi kita sudah terjadi, lalu kita mundur ke belakang untuk memastikan bagaimana itu terjadi. Nah, ini Anda pelajari dalam tools timeline, ya. Jadi para alumni, praktisi dan master praktisi NLP atau para trainer NLP Indonesia, Anda sudah mengenal ini melalui tools timeline, bahwa apapun yang terjadi, apapun yang kita ingin jadikan, kita mengkreasikan realitasnya dulu, bergerak di timeline menuju ke kejadiannya setelah terjadi, dan juga bahkan kita bisa bergerak di timeline sehari setelah itu terjadi, seminggu setelah itu terjadi, dan kita melihat perubahan-perubahan yang terjadi dalam kehidupan kita, hal-hal yang terjadi, dan setelah itu, surprisingnya, kita justru mendapatkan ide-ide jauh lebih mudah dibandingkan dengan kita melihat dari hari ini, melihat apa yang ingin kita capai nanti. Jadi kita sudah bergerak, sudah terjadi, lalu kita bergerak menuju ke hari ini untuk melihat apa yang telah kita lakukan untuk memungkinkan hal-hal tersebut terjadi. Dan ada satu interview lagi yang akan saya putar di dalam Coffee With Hing ini, ya, interview saya bersama guru besar psikologi Dr. Paul Ekman, ya, guru besar emotional intelligence dan juga teknik-teknik lie detection, ya, micro expression dan sebagainya. Saya akan putarkan juga interview saya bersama beliau di Coffee With Hing. Nantikan para sahabatku sekalian. Demikian Coffee With Hing kali ini. Kita jumpa di Coffee With Hing berikutnya.